Hello, and welcome to Your Money 2.0. I'm Thomas Fox, Community Outreach Director of Cambridge Credit Counseling. The last few years have been particularly difficult in the housing market. Along with record numbers of foreclosures, we've also witnessed a decline in home sales. Recently, however, I became very encouraged when I began to hear friends and family members and even some colleagues begin to talk about home ownership. Something similar they all share is the desire to learn about the best way to buy a home. Years ago, people were simply buying houses because that's what everyone else did. Unfortunately, we've seen what happens when people don't make informed decisions. Something I found interesting in doing my own homeownership research was a study that said, on average, individuals shopping for cars spend an average of 8 hours researching different makes and models to find the one that's just right for their needs. Unfortunately, homeowners spend an average of just 5 hours finding a house that's right for them. Considering that a home is probably the biggest expense you'll ever take on in your life, it stands to reason that you should commit more time and energy to understanding the homeownership process. One of the biggest challenges for new homeowners is deciding how much home they can afford. During the housing boom, people received mortgages that seemed incomprehensible. I've seen stories on CNN that talked of homeowners making $35,000 a year who were taking on $750,000 mortgages. Those numbers simply do not add up. Why did this happen? Well, there are many reasons to list, but I think we can agree that greed and a lack of practical homeownership knowledge certainly played roles. The administration is currently working on changes to the financial system intended to help protect consumers, but that still doesn't change the fact that consumers need to be more educated on the home buying process. As I mentioned, understanding how much home you can afford is the first item on a list that homeowners have to consider. Mortgage brokers and lenders use your gross income as a basis of affordability. Your gross income is income you receive before taxes and other deductions are taken out. But there can be a huge disparity between your gross and your net income. Your net income is the income left over after taxes and deductions have been taken out. For example, if you make $1,300 gross, then you have your medical, dental, taxes, and so on taken out, you'll probably net somewhere around $950. That's a huge difference. Basing a mortgage loan on money that never reaches your pocket is not practical. A better rule of thumb to go by when deciding how much home you can afford is to take your gross income and multiply it by 2.5 to 3 times. For instance, if you were to make $50,000 a year, in theory you should be able to afford a mortgage anywhere between $125,000 and $150,000. Again, this formula gives you a ballpark number. You still need to develop a spending plan to determine exactly how much you can afford to pay each month. If you have questions regarding home ownership, the very first place you should contact is a HUD-certified housing counseling agency. Cambridge Credit Counseling is an agency that helps people throughout Massachusetts and Connecticut with a variety of homeownership needs. If you're outside of these states, you can look in your Yellow Pages or visit the website on your screen to locate a housing counselor close to you. Talking to a housing counselor is probably the most important step that you can take in the homeownership process. Not only will your counselor help you develop a budget, they can also give you valuable advice on how to address credit issues and ultimately help you devise a plan to get a mortgage that works for you. A good counselor is certified and trained on a wide variety of housing topics and can make the difference in opening the doors to your new home. Well, that's it for this edition. We welcome your feedback and ask for your thoughts and suggestions by emailing us at yourmoney2@cambridgecredit.org. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm Thomas Fox for Cambridge Credit Counseling.